Heartwarming moment, Waitress's incredible discovery reveals hidden connection that transformed lives forever. In a town where every face felt like family, Sarah stood behind the counter of Mel's diner, enchanting her customers with warm smiles and steaming cups of coffee. A hard-working single mother of two, she balanced the demands of her job with the joys and challenges of raising Emily and Jake. At just 34, she exuded a spirit of resilience that seemed to uplift even the heaviest hearts. Day after day, she moved gracefully between tables, serving up comfort food while carrying the weight of hope in her chest. A particularly busy Wednesday afternoon saw laughter bounce off the diner walls, as familiar stories echoed in the air. It was in that lively atmosphere that Sarah noticed Mr. Thompson, the former military man from the local Veterans Association. Clad in a well-pressed suit that seemed like a figment of a better past, he cradled a cup of coffee as if it weighed down his spirit. With each sip, the hint of resignation in his demeanor tugged at Sarah's heart. She approached him, quietly pouring another round. "Mr. Thompson," she said with a smile, "you're next one's on the house today." His surprise morphed into gratitude, the lines on his face softening just a bit. As they chatted over the next few weeks, sharing stories about their families and the burdens they carried, an unexpected bond formed. Mr. Thompson opened up about his struggles after losing his job, and Sarah shared her hopes for Emily and Jake. Their laughter was her fuel. They connected over the sacrifices they'd made for their children and dreams that felt just out of reach. It broke Sarah's heart to know Mr. Thompson had lost touch with his daughter Jenna, who attended the same school as Emily and Jake. It became Sarah's quiet mission to help them reconnect. Then the world turned upside down. Rumors buzzed through the town, like restless bees, as news of an unexpected judgment against Mr. Thompson surfaced. Suddenly, eyes that had been sympathetic narrowed, and whispers began to cloud the compassion that Sarah had nurtured in her small corner of town. The tension in the diner was palpable. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As Sarah's heart raced, she wrestled with her own dilemma. Should she stand up against the judgment with the risk of her kids facing backlash? This moral quandary became a mirror reflecting the societal issues they both faced. But then her integrity flared like a beacon. The very essence of small-town America clashed against the prejudices taking root in their community. Standing in the diner that day, Sarah watched as the clouds of uncertainty gathered, enclosing her in a storm of questions. She wondered whether she truly had the power to change Mr. Thompson's fate and with it the ideals of justice, family, and community. And as she glanced at the happy faces of Emily and Jake, a steadfast determination began to unfurl within her. Would compassion prevail, or would they be lost in the tide of judgment? Just as the clock ticked toward an unknown future, she felt the weight of hope pulse within her, urging her to stand strong for what was right. The morning sun peeked through the diner windows, casting a golden glow over the worn surfaces of Mel's diner. Sarah poured cups of coffee with practiced ease, yet a sense of heaviness clung to her heart. Whispers about Mr. Thompson lingered in the air, a storm of opinions swirling like leaves in the autumn wind, threatening to tear apart the fabric of the community. "Did you hear about Thompson?" she overheard a customer say, their voice full of smug satisfaction. "Lost his job, and now he's lost even more." Every word was a punch to Sarah's gut. She had watched Mr. Thompson grapple with his demons, his vulnerability stark against the charming backdrop of diners and families enjoying their meals. But what weighed heavier on her was the thought of his daughter Jenna, alone at school, unaware of the turmoil surrounding her father. As Sarah set down the coffee, her resolve hardened. She wouldn't let this judgment define him. She had seen Mr. Thompson's heart, a man trying to reconnect with his daughter, a man learning to navigate his new reality. He deserved more than judgment, he deserved understanding. Her shift ended, and with a determination stronger than her exhaustion, Sarah left the diner. She found herself at Jenna's school, an old brick building that housed laughter and innocence. The bell rang, and children poured out, backpacks bouncing against their small frames. Sarah's heart raced. She knew she had to talk to Jenna, and she hoped the girl would be receptive. "Jenna," she called, catching the girl's attention. Jenna turned, her expression a mix of curiosity and confusion. "Hi, Mrs. Sarah," the girl replied, a hint of a smile appearing briefly before the weight in her eyes returned. "Can we talk for a moment?" Sarah asked gently, kneeling to meet Jenna at eye level. The bell's echo faded as the children scattered in their small groups, leaving a pensive silence in the air. "About your dad," Sarah began. She could see the flicker of hope and worry dance across Jenna's face. "He has been trying to reach you, honey. He wants you to know that he loves you very much." Jenna's gaze dropped to the pavement, the hint of tears glistening at the corners of her eyes. "But everyone is saying he is a bad person. They're saying he made mistakes." "We all make mistakes," Sarah said, her voice firm yet compassionate. "What matters is how we try to fix them. Your dad is going through a tough time right now, but he is working hard to make things better, just like every one of us does." Jenna bit her lip, looking lost in her thoughts. "But I haven't seen him. Because he is scared. Scared of what people think, scared he may not be a good dad anymore," Sarah said softly. "But that's why it's important for you to connect with him. You're his light, Jenna. You can help him find his way back." The girl looked up, and Sarah could see her heart opening just a crack. "Do you really think so?" "I know so," Sarah affirmed with a smile. "You have the power to change the conversation, to help him heal, just like he wants to help you." As they stood there, a spark of determination ignited in Jenna's eyes. "I want to talk to him," she said softly, her courage blossoming. Sarah felt her own heart swell, hopeful for what lay ahead. She would arrange a meeting, a moment to bridge the distance that had formed between father and daughter. That evening in the diner, Sarah prepared to share the news with Mr. Thompson. She looked around, watching families at their tables, laughter threading through the air. But as she approached Mr. Thompson, her heart raced not just with anticipation, but with the weight of her mission. "Mr. Thompson," she began, her voice steady with reassurance. "I think I have something important to tell you." As his eyes lit up with curiosity, the weight of her words hung between them. Would this be the moment that changed everything for them both? Sarah took a breath, the bustling diner around them fading into a soft hum. "I spoke with Jenna today," she continued, her voice a fragile thread woven with hope. Mr. Thompson leaned in, his brow furrowed, the tension in his shoulders visibly shifting. "You did? Is she okay?" "She is worried about you," Sarah replied, her eyes searching his for understanding. "She hears what people say, and it's hurting her. But she is feeling brave. She wants to talk to you." His expression cracked ever so slightly, revealing the turmoil behind the stoic facade. "I don't know if I can face her. What if she thinks I'm a failure?" "Jenna needs you to show up," Sarah urged gently. "She needs to see you're trying. That you care. If you hide away, it only gives her more reason to doubt." Mr. Thompson's hands trembled as he absently pushed his coffee cup away. "I just wanted to be the dad she deserved. Now I don't know if I can be." Sarah instinctively reached out, placing her hand over his. "Being a dad is about showing up, not about being perfect. You can start fresh. Let her know you're ready to try." A flicker of hope ignited in his eyes, but doubt still lingered. "What if she hates me?" "Jenna could never hate you. But she needs to see that you're willing to fight for her. When you open that door, you'll be amazed at the love she has waiting for you." Mr. Thompson exhaled slowly, the air seeming to carry a heavy weight as he wrestled with his emotions. "You really think it will make a difference?" "Yes," Sarah replied, her voice steady. "If you want it to." After a long moment, he nodded, the resolve in his eyes beginning to harden. "All right. I'll do it. I'll speak to her. I can't let her think she doesn't matter." A smile broke through Sarah's worry. "That's all I needed to hear. I'll help you set it up." As they finalized the details, the noise of the diner swelled around them, laughter and clinking dishes flowing like a comforting embrace. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of transformation creeping in, not just for Mr. Thompson and Jenna, but for herself too. After the evening rush, Sarah cleared plates from table 6, feeling the day's weight lift just a little. But as she turned, she froze. At the entrance stood Jenna, clutching her backpack and looking more uncertain than ever. "Mrs. Sarah?" The girl called softly, her eyes scanning the tables, catching sight of her father. I need to talk to him." Mr. Thompson turned at the sound of his daughter's voice, his face morphing from surprise to dread, then back to a tentative hope. Sarah stood in the middle of this charged moment, heart racing in step with the unfolding scene. "Right now?" he stammered, panic creeping back. "Yes, right now," Jenna insisted, her voice trembling but determined. The world around them faded into a stillness that felt electric. Sarah felt suspended in time, a breathless witness to the reunion about to unfold. Would they have the courage to take this leap together, or would fears shatter the fragile connection poised to begin? With a quick exchange of glance between father and daughter, the air thickened with unspoken words. Would this be their moment? Would they find their way back to each other, or would fear win? Before she could catch her breath, Jenna took a step forward, and Sarah could only hold on to hope as the moment hung in the balance. Jenna hesitated for just a heartbeat, her small frame trembling slightly. The diner seemed to grow quieter, each clinking fork and hushed conversation fading into the background as the weight of the moment pressed in on them all. Mr. Thompson felt his heart racing, a symphony of anxiety and desperate longing playing against his ribs. "Dad," Jenna spoke, finding her voice in the midst of chaos. It was soft but fierce, cutting through the room like a beacon. Can we talk? Just us?" "Yes," Mr. Thompson replied, a fragile determination taking hold. He stood up from his booth, his legs shaky as if carrying the weight of the world. "I want that. I really do." Their eyes locked, and for the first time in what felt like ages, they shared a moment free from judgment or expectation. It pulsed with unuttered promises, the kind that felt almost tangible. Sarah slid back, allowing the two to step into their own world, yet still close enough to catch the emotions brimming just under the surface. Jenna's heart split open at the sight of her dad's nervous smile. It wasn't he the confident man she once knew, but there was honesty etched in his features. The shadows of doubt still clung to him, yet here he was, standing up for her. "Can we go outside?" Jenna suggested, a flicker of urgency breaking through her anxious facade. The diner, lively and full of chatter, felt like a cage at that moment, and she needed just a breath of fresh air to clarify her thoughts. "Of course," Mr. Thompson replied, trying to set aside the swelling nerves. Moving outside, the cool evening air met them like a gentle embrace. They stood just outside the diner's door, the sunset painting the sky with streaks of orange and pink, a perfect backdrop for a moment that felt somehow monumental despite the simplicity of it. "Dad," Jenna began, biting her lip as the words battled for space in her throat, "I've been so scared." Mr. Thompson's heart sank, the weight of her anxiety echoed his own. "I'm scared too," he admitted, breaking down the walls they had both built. "I don't want you to be hurt because of me." Jenna took a brave step closer, her hands gripping the straps of her backpack. "You didn't fail me, Dad. You were just lost. I want to see you again. I want the you before everything changed." There it was, the bittersweet truth laid bare between them, raw and unfiltered. "I never stopped loving you, Jenna. I just felt like I was wandering through darkness, and I didn't know how to find my way back." His voice cracked with emotion, every syllable laced with years of regret. "You can find your way back," she whispered, hope sparking in her eyes. "We can do this together." Mr. Thompson stepped forward, the distance between them evaporating. "I want to be there for you. I want to be the dad you need." A smile crept across Jenna's face, fragile yet radiant, like the dawn breaking into the night. "Then let us start now." They stood together in silence, the weight of their shared feelings bridging the gap of the years that had pulled them apart. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the last of its light, Mr. Thompson suddenly felt a tremor of purpose inside him, but just as he opened his mouth to speak again, his phone buzzed loudly from his pocket. The moment fractured, pulling him back from the edge of connection. He pulled it out, glancing at the screen, and his expression shifted instantly from hope to crushing uncertainty. "Who is it?" Jenna asked, eyes wide with curiosity and concern. He hesitated, the phone buzzing again as the name lit up his screen. It was work, a situation he couldn't ignore. Time seemed to stall, and an urgent choice loomed in the air between them. Would he step back into the chaos, or hold firm to this fragile connection they had just begun to reclaim? Jenna watched her father's face, understanding flashing in her eyes. It was the moment of truth, and the weight of their journey was heavy on them both. What road would he choose this time? The air thickened with unanswered questions, as they both awaited his response. Would he fight for his daughter's heart or allow the old patterns to take over once more? Mr. Thompson felt the tremor of his phone in his hand, the vibrant screen pulsing like a heartbeat. The name glared back at him, his boss a reminder of deadlines and expectations, of responsibilities that had long overshadowed everything else in his life, including the relationship he had with his daughter. He could feel Jenna's eyes, a mix of anticipation and fear that boiled down to a simple question: where would he go from here? I need to take this," he finally said, the words bitter on his tongue. But as he looked at Jenna, he felt an urgency rising within him, a desperate need to reclaim the moment. It was a pivotal moment, one that could either dissolve into nothing or blossom into something beautiful. "Dad, please." Jenna's voice shook slightly. "You just said you wanted to be there for me." A shadow crossed his face as he switched his phone to silent. The power of her gaze held him captive. In that instant, the weight of work melted away, and he realized what truly mattered. "You're right," he admitted, pulling the phone back down to his side. "Let us not let this moment slip away." Her expression changed, relief washing over her like a tidal wave. "Really? You mean it?" "I mean it," he said firmly, the sense of purpose igniting within him. He took a step forward, closing the physical and emotional distance that had lingered for too long. "Let us talk. Just us." Jenna smiled, a bright, genuine smile that lit her eyes. "I want to know what you're feeling. What's been going on with you?" Mr. Thompson's heart raced. A rustle of wind played with Jenna's hair as he gathered his thoughts. "I guess I've been trying to navigate through a storm without a map. Everything felt so overwhelming and I didn't know how to reach out without feeling like a failure. But seeing you here, wanting to connect, it makes me want to change." Her voice trembled. "I've been waiting. I thought maybe if I could find the right moment." Her words caught in her throat and he could see she was fighting to hold back tears. "But then I felt like we were just drifting further apart." They stood in silence, the cool air swirling with emotions that seemed vast and uncharted. In that stillness, Mr. Thompson dared to take a deeper breath. "You give me hope, Jenna. Every day, I think about what I could do differently. I want to be a better person, a better dad. Then we'll start together. Right now." She gripped his arm tightly, her face glowing with sincerity. He nodded, emotions swirling in his chest: guilt, hope, fear. "What can I do to earn your trust again?" "Just talk to me," she replied, the words spilling out like a revelation. "Tell me about your day." "Anything." "Tough day at work," he started, the simple sharing already feeling like a bridge being built. "Just a lot of pressure to meet expectations." Jenna nodded intently, her eyes on his. "You don't have to carry it all alone." It was a moment that felt transformative, a breath of fresh air that made space for new beginnings. The truth lay openly between them, a promise waiting to unfold, but just as they settled into this opening, a voice called out from within the diner, breaking the spell. "Mr. Thompson." It was Sarah, their waitress, standing at the door, her expression a mix of confusion and concern. "It's an emergency. You need to come inside now." The air shifted again, the tension returning with a vengeance. Mr. Thompson felt a clenching in his stomach. Jenna's expression mirrored his concern as she looked back and forth between him and Sarah. "What's going on?" "I don't know," Mr. Thompson replied, dread pooling in his chest. "Let us find out together." As they turned, uncertainty lingered, a sharp reminder of the world outside pushing back against their fragile bridge. How could they hold on to this moment when chaos beckoned so insistently? His heart thumped loudly as he stepped back inside with Jenna close at his side. What awaited them behind that diner door could change everything. The moment they stepped back inside the diner, the warmth and chatter washed over them like a familiar embrace, but the urgency in Sarah's voice cut through it all. Mr. Thompson scanned the room, muscles tense, searching for signs of what could be wrong. Customers were still seated, forks clinking against plates, laughter hanging in the air, but something felt off. Sarah gestured frantically to the back, her brow furrowed with worry. "It's about Danny, one of your coworkers. You need to see this. It's bad." Mr. Thompson's heart sank. Danny was a decent guy, always cracking jokes and lifting spirits after long shifts. He exchanged a worried glance with Jenna as they followed Sarah through a narrow corridor behind the diner where the dishes were scrubbed clean, but the scent of frying oil lingered like an unwelcomed guest. When they reached the small break room, a tight knot formed in Mr. Thompson's stomach. There, he saw Danny slumped on a chair, pale as a ghost, his colleagues gathered around him with expressions that mirrored his fear. "What happened?" Mr. Thompson asked, stepping closer. "We think it was the food," Sarah said, her voice shaking slightly. "He took a bite of his lunch and just started choking." Jenna stepped ahead, her dark eyes wide, absorbing the scene. Danny coughed violently, struggling for air. Mr. Thompson's instincts kicked in. Acting on sheer adrenaline, he moved to Danny's side, forcing calm into the chaos. "Danny, I'm here. You're going to be okay. Just focus on me." He positioned himself behind Danny, wrapping his arms around his friend's torso, remembering the first aid moves he'd learned years ago. He delivered a sharp thrust upward. Nothing happened. Panic bubbled, threatening to consume him, a feeling he'd kept at bay for far too long. "Again," Jenna said softly, her voice steadying him. She had moved to stand beside him, her hands gripping the counter for support. "You can do this, Dad. Just like you taught me." The encouragement in her voice sparked something in him. He wrapped his arms around Danny again, this time channeling every ounce of determination he could muster. "One more time." He pushed up, and a loud gasp escaped Danny's lips as he finally coughed up a piece of food, a stream of breath rushing into his lungs. The room erupted into relieved murmurs. "Danny? Are you okay?" He nodded weakly, color slowly returning to his face. "What the hell just happened?" he croaked, laughter edging into the tension as he rubbed his throat. Mr. Thompson stepped back, breathless. His heart raced, but not just from the adrenaline. The weight of the moment swayed between him and Jenna, sharing an unspoken bond they hadn't had before. This intense experience pulled them closer, weaving their lives in unexpected ways. "Thanks, man," Danny managed, still heaving in small breaths. The room that had egged on laughter not too long ago now filled with a different kind of energy. Gratitude and relief mingled in the air. As everybody began to relax, the undercurrent of relief was palpable. Mr. Thompson glanced at Jenna, whose eyes were shining with tears that glimmered in the soft light of the diner. They had shared fear and triumph together, and he felt something shift in that moment. Maybe we really can start over, Mr. Thompson thought, but the feeling lingered in the air, tentative yet powerful. But before he could say anything, Sarah broke the tension again. "You're lucky to have him, Jen," she said, a smile creeping onto her face as she pointed at Mr. Thompson. "Don't ever take him for granted." Jenna's expression sobered as she looked at her father, the unspoken words weighed heavily around them. Just then, the diner door swung open, the bell tinkling lightly. And that's when an old friend of Mr. Thompson stepped in, a figure from his past that would soon dredge up long-buried memories. "Mark? Is that you?" The man called out, scanning the room, and suddenly, it felt like the ground shifted beneath Mr. Thompson's feet. Because what was about to unfold would challenge everything he thought he knew about his past, his choices, and the woman he loved. Mr. Thompson's heart raced as he stared at the figure entering the diner. Mark was someone he'd once considered a brother, but the years had strained that bond beyond recognition. The man looked older, hair graying at the temples, but his eyes still held that familiar spark. "Mark," Mr. Thompson echoed, his voice barely above a whisper. He felt the weight of the room shift again, as everyone turned to see who had arrived. Whispers exchanged among the regulars, curiosity mixing with the underlying tension. Mark's easy smile faded into a look of concern as he approached. "It's been a long time, buddy," he said, reaching out for a handshake that felt both comforting and awkward. "I heard about Danny. I didn't mean to drop in like this, but no, it's fine." The words felt heavy on Mr. Thompson's tongue. Everyone else faded into the background noise. It was just him and Mark standing there, caught in the past's grip. "How've you been?" "Been better. Been worse." Mark shrugged, glancing around the diner. "Looks like you've got a good thing here." "I didn't know you were still in town running this place?" The words came easily, but Mr. Thompson felt a wave of shame wash over him. The diner was a refuge, but it was also a constant reminder of the life choices he made. "Yeah, just trying to get by, I guess." Jenna stepped up, breaking the tension. "Dad saved Danny's life today," she said, pride shining through her admiration. "He's a hero." Mark raised an eyebrow, surprised as he turned to Danny, who nodded again, still regaining his breath. "Seriously? Gotta hand it to you, Thompson." There was a playful jab in his tone, but a seriousness lingered beneath it. Mr. Thompson shifted his weight, discomfort bubbling beneath the tiny victories. The walls of the diner suddenly felt like they were closing in, weighted thick with unspoken truths and unresolved feelings. "It was just a lucky instinct," he muttered. "Mark didn't let it go." "You always did have it in you. Remember when we saved that cat from a tree back in high school?" A shared laugh echoed, but for Mr. Thompson, that shared history felt like a chasm, a reminder of lost time and strained friendships. "Yeah, I remember." This time, a bitter laugh escaped. "Not everything turns out how you think it will, huh?" The moment was fragile, delicate and dangling. Mark studied him, the friendship they once shared etched on his face. "What happened, Mark? Why did you leave?" The question spilled from Mr. Thompson, raw and unfiltered. Mark's expression shifted. "Things got complicated. You know how it goes sometimes, people take different paths." A silence fell between them, heavy with possibility and regrets. Mr. Thompson searched for answers he wasn't sure he wanted to hear. His heart sank, realizing that some wounds ran too deep to heal simply with words. Just then, Mark's gaze shifted toward Jenna, and a spark ignited. "So, this must be your little girl. She's beautiful. You must be proud." "We're trying to figure things out," Mr. Thompson replied, a sudden wave of protectiveness flooding over him. "Things haven't been easy." "I can imagine," Mark nodded, sympathy in his eyes. "Life's thrown me a few curveballs too." But the moment was interrupted by a sudden crash from the kitchen. The sound shattered the stillness, drawing every eye as another cook, stumbled back, holding a tray of freshly dropped dishes. Mr. Thompson's attention snapped back to the diner's chaos. The laughter faded, concern reignited as he rushed to help. But deep down, a tension simmered between him and Mark, shadowing the room, teetering on a pivotal edge. What secrets would this encounter unravel? And just how deep did their shared past run? As he helped gather the mess, Mr. Thompson knew one truth remained: some friendships might be worth salvaging, even if the road to understanding was bumpy. But as he glanced at Mark again, a question pulsed in the air: would old wounds continue to divide them, or could they find a way to bridge the gap? CJ's sheepish apology, barely covering the sound of broken glass, drew Mr. Thompson back into reality. They scrambled to pick up the pieces, and Mr. Thompson could feel Mark's presence close behind him. An odd mix of nostalgia and discomfort settled deep in his chest. As they worked together, the air hung heavy with unspoken words. You always were the one running to help, Mark said, kneeling beside him to gather shards of porcelain. I used to admire that in you. Mr. Thompson hesitated, the compliment catching him off guard. Guess some things never change, he replied tersely, still battling the walls he had built around himself. Danny burst through the kitchen door, a concerned frown on his face. Everything okay? His brow furrowed as he surveyed the scene, noting the collection of broken dishes littering the floor. We're all good, Mr. Thompson reassured his son, forcing a smile. Just a little mishap. Mark stood, brushing off his hands, then took a deep breath as if steeling himself for the next words. Listen, Thompson. I didn't come here just to say hello. I came back because I missed you. I know it sounds cheesy, but there it is. Mr. Thompson's heart raced again, caught off guard by the vulnerability in Mark's voice. The diner felt like a time capsule, filled with echoes of laughter and the remnants of past hurts. He paused, the weight of emotions crashing over him. You left without a word. That it hurt. I know, Mark admitted, his eyes downcast. And I hate that it did. Life got messy, and I didn't know how to tell you. But I'm here now. Are you? Mr. Thompson challenged, meeting his gaze directly. Or are you just here because you heard about Danny? Mark opened his mouth to respond, then closed it, contemplating. It's hard to explain. I needed to get away. But seeing you both, it makes me realize maybe I need to fix what's broken. The honesty hit Mr. Thompson like a surprise gut punch. There was a possibility hanging between them, one he never expected to entertain. Their history was tangled, but maybe it was not beyond repair. Fixing things isn't simple, he replied, the words stark and raw. You can't just waltz back in and expect everything to be like it was. I don't want it to be like it was, Mark said, his voice steady. I want it to be better. Mr. Thompson searched Mark's face, searching for any hint of deception but found none. The sincerity washed over him like a wave, softening the edges of old animosities. His defenses cracked, just a bit. Could they actually move past the hurt? Jenna approached, sensing the shift. You know, I've been thinking maybe it's time for us to get to know each other again? Maybe there's a way we can all figure things out together. The innocence in her words felt electrifying, a glimmer of what might be. Mark smiled at her, the warmth easing the tension. I'd like that. Truly. But just as Mr. Thompson felt a flicker of hope, the diner's bell chimed, and a group of patrons pushed through the door, breaking the moment. The familiar sounds of conversation filled the space, but the underlying tension still lingered. Mr. Thompson took a deep breath, eyes darting to the new customers, then back to Mark, who seemed to be tearing down his own walls. It was strange how the presence of others could shift internal dynamics. What happens next? Mr. Thompson asked, his voice low, barely audible over the diner's bustle. Next? Mark echoed, a hint of determination taking hold. We start by really talking. About where we went wrong, and how we can make it right. Mr. Thompson weighed the words, feeling the stirrings of a bond that had been buried too long. I guess every journey starts with a conversation. As they settled into an uneasy but hopeful silence, he couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest part was yet to come. Could they truly mend a friendship splintered by time and past choices? In that moment, as laughter and clinking dishes surrounded them, he realized the stakes were higher than he imagined. What if this was not just a reunion, but the spark that ignited a deeper reckoning within both their lives? And as they sat together, the conversation just beginning to unfold, an unexpected voice rang out from the midst of the morning rush, a laugh too familiar and a sight none would see coming. The diner door swung open once more, heralding a face that could turn their nascent reconciliation into chaos. As the chatter of the diner faded momentarily, the familiar laughter floated through the air like a feather, light yet heavy with nostalgia. Mr. Thompson felt himself stiffen as he turned, heart racing. When he saw who had walked in, the world around him blurred. Is that Lily? He asked softly, taking an involuntary step out of the moment. Mark and Jenna both turned to see her, frozen mid-stride. Lily, the bubbly waitress who had brought time, warmth, and laughter into their lives, stood wide-eyed at the entrance. Her dark hair bounced lightly as she scanned the room, finally landing on Mark. A mix of excitement and disbelief washed over her face. "Lily!" Mark exclaimed, barely able to contain his joy as he stepped forward. For a brief moment, everything else faded away. Mr. Thompson watched as they embraced, a spark igniting something long buried. This was the last thing he had expected to see today. He could only swallow hard, his emotions wrestling with one another. "Wow, it's been ages." Lily laughed, her voice a melody that reminded Mr. Thompson of days long gone. "What brings you back? Wait, is that Danny?" She turned to his son, who had been watching with wide eyes. "Yeah, it's me," Danny replied shyly, his cheeks flushing. "I didn't know you were back in town." "Oh, I've been around, just busy with life and all," she said, her eyes sparkling. Then her gaze shifted back toward Mr. Thompson, recognizing the tension hanging in the air. "And you, how are you doing, Mr. T?" He opened his mouth to respond but instead closed it, unsure of how to convey the whirlwind of emotions surging through him. The simplicity of her question felt like a million bold colors splashed across a gray canvas of uncertainty. We're okay," he finally managed, offering a half-hearted smile that barely reached his eyes. "Just dealing with things, you know?" "Of course," she said, her tone softening, perhaps sensing the depth behind his words. "Speaking of dealing with things, I need to get some coffee out to the diner tables, but I'd love to catch up later." "Yeah, sure," Mr. Thompson replied, the promise twinkling in his chest as she turned back to refill the coffee pots. A heavy silence fell between the three men as thoughts raced. The reunion felt like reconnecting a broken cord, wires frayed and twisted but now seeking a spark. Mark shifted in his seat, looking more energized than he had moments ago. "Maybe this is a sign." "Sign?" Mr. Thompson repeated, crossing his arms as if gauging the impossible. "What are you talking about? Lily coming back into our lives?" "It could mean something," Mark urged, earnest excitement gleaming in his eyes. "Maybe we're all meant to walk this path together again." Jenna, who had been listening quietly, nodded slowly. "You know, I think he might be right. She has such a light about her." Just then, Mark lowered his voice, dropping the excitement. "But it's complicated, isn't it? We still have to face everything. The hurt. The silence. The years that separated us." Hesitation settled in Mr. Thompson once more as he glanced toward Lily, now bustling around the diner, laughter escaping her lips and light spilling from her every movement. What if she was the bridge that could connect their fractured past? But how would they ever get there without setting aside their fears? What if it doesn't lead to where we hope? Mr. Thompson finally uttered, vulnerability edging into his voice. Mark shook his head, unyielding in his determination. "Then we face that too. Together." Mr. Thompson exhaled slowly, the walls inside him starting to tremble. Just as he considered what that could mean, Lily returned to their table, a fresh pot of coffee in tow. "Ready for some strong brew?" She beamed, pouring the steaming liquid with the precision of someone who had done it 1,000 times before. As they sipped in silence, Mr. Thompson could feel a change in the atmosphere. Renewal was thinning the air around them, enticing yet intimidating. If they all stepped forward, what would become of their individual stories? Suddenly, the bell above the door jingled once. Again, and a chill crept in. Another figure stepped into the diner, face obscured by the sunlight streaming in behind them, but one thing was clear: this was someone who might shatter everything they were trying to rebuild. Mr. Thompson felt his heart race anew, bracing for the unknown as the air crackled with tension. What would this new arrival mean for their fragile chance at a future? The diner door swung open, and silence enveloped the room for a brief moment. Mr. Thompson squinted against the bright sunlight, recognizing the familiar silhouette. It was Jenna's mother, Liz. Her presence was a vortex, one that pulled both past regrets and present hopes into sharp focus. The warmth of fleeting laughter faded, tension darting between tables like electricity. Liz stepped inside, her eyes scanning the diner. When they landed on Mr. Thompson, a mix of surprise and something deeper flickered across her face. The atmosphere thickened. She wore uncertainty like a second skin, but he could see the determination anchored in her stance. "Eric," she said softly, taking a step closer. It felt as though the entire diner had gone mute, the energy shifting around them. "We need to talk." Mr. Thompson's heart pounded, the memories of their shared moments solidifying in that brief gaze. The laughter they once shared felt like a distant echo that suddenly resurfaced with poignant clarity. He glanced at Jenna, whose eyes widened, silently begging for assurance amid the storm brewing at the center of their reunion. "Is this a good time?" Liz continued, a thread of uncertainty woven through her tone. Maybe we should go outside?" Mr. Thompson suggested, his voice steadier than he felt. Without awaiting a response, he led Liz outside, the cool evening breeze cutting through the lingering warmth of the diner. Jenna followed, unable to keep away from this moment that held their past and future in delicate balance. As they stood beneath the fading light, Liz took a deep breath. "I didn't expect to see you here." "I know it's been a while since we had a proper conversation," she began. "You could say that," he replied, crossing his arms, feeling exposed yet oddly brave. "You just left." "Because I was scared." She shot back, her voice rising slightly. "You were pulling away, and I didn't want to be the one holding you back when you needed to be strong for yourself and for Jenna." Jenna stood between them, the tension palpable. "Mom, I'm okay," she finally said, her voice firm. "We just had a moment, a real one. I think we can all be okay again." Liz's expression softened upon hearing Jenna's words. "I've seen how hard you've been trying, Eric. I never wanted you to feel alone in this." "Trying isn't enough," he said, bitterness creeping into his voice. But Liz took another step closer, her eyes searching his with earnestness. "Being afraid is okay, Eric. We all are. But hiding from the past isn't how we heal. I miss this. I miss you both." As silence enveloped them, a flood of emotions washed over Mr. Thompson. Memory surfed through his mind, moments filled with laughter, the joy of seeing Jenna take her first steps, the warmth of a family that felt whole. Each recollection brought him closer to recognizing this truth: they deserved a second chance. "Why did you come back now?" he finally asked, vulnerable and raw. "Because I realized," Liz paused, swallowing hard, "that home isn't just a place. It's where the heart is. And my heart never really left." In that moment, something shifted. Mr. Thompson felt the walls he built start to crumble. It wasn't just about the pain, the distance, but about reconnection. The strength of family. Hope. And just as their surroundings dimmed into evening hues, Jenna stepped forward, her small hand slipping into her father's. "Then let us try to make it right. Together." Mr. Thompson looked at his daughter, then back at Liz. This was a moment of resolve, binding them closer than any hurt had pulled them apart. He felt a knot of fear still tight in his stomach, but it was delicately tethered to a thread of hope. "Okay," he breathed, a liberating heaviness lifting off his chest. "Let us talk. All of us." Outside the diner, under the expansive sky hosting the first stars of night, they shared laughter and trepidation, a raw, transformative conversation about beginning again, of weaving a tapestry from old threads while leaving space for new ones. Across the diner, the warmth flowed back into the hearts of those who had watched, absorbing lessons of hope and endurance from their table. As they stood there, a gathering of spirits united, old fears faded. Mr. Thompson began to smile, a real one, luminous and inviting, ready to embrace the future with his family. And as laughter bubbled up once more from inside Mel's diner, they took the first steps toward understanding, illuminating the path ahead. In the gentle rhythm of life, they danced to the music of second chances. Now, if you connected with this story, if it hit home to you like it did for us, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss out on the exclusive stories that follow this transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support makes all the difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings. We want to hear how you resonated with this ending. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together we can build a community that shares love, hope, and second chances.